Hello and welcome to Hiromi Voice in English, a place you can relax and gently learn about Japan. Today, I'd like to talk about something that feels very current in Japan, about the marriage. I think the idea of a good husband in Japan is changing, but also the idea of a good wife is changing too. For a long time, many people in Japan imagined marriage in a more traditional way. A husband was expected to provide. A wife was expected to support the home quietly and steadily. Of course, actual marriages take many forms, but this traditional image remained very deeply ingrained. How about your country? Now though, it feels different. It's changing a lot in Japan. These days, many people seem to want something more shared, corporate. Not just fixed roles, but partnership. Not just appearance, but daily reality. Not just who earns, who can build a life together. That's the point, I think. So today, let's look at how the image of a good husband and a good wife may be changing in Japan. In older image of marriage in Japan, a good husband often meant someone stable, serious, masculine, and financially dependable. And a good wife often meant someone gentle, supportive, modest, and centered on family life. Again, I don't mean that every couple was like that. And I also mean that these values have disappeared. They are still live there, here. But I do think many people in Japan would recognize this as a familiar, older image. What is interesting is that this image seems to be weakening. Alright, look at this graph. In the 2024 Cabin Office Opinion Survey, 64.8% of respondents said they opposed the idea that the husband should work outside and wife should protect the home. That doesn't mean everyone thinks the same way now, but it does suggest that the old model is no longer the default for many people in Japan. So first, what is changing about the image of a good husband? I think the biggest shift is this. Being a good husband in Japan is no longer only about income. We used to focus on their income when we are trying to get married to someone. But of course, because financial stability still matters. I don't think anyone believes money has become unimportant. I don't think so. But now, many people seem to care much more about whether a man can share real life. Like, can he help with housework? Can he be involved in child care? Can he be emotionally supportive? Can he actually be present at home? In other words, being dependable now seems to mean more than simply earning money. Yeah. Okay, look at this data. The 2021 National Facility Survey by Japan's National Institute of Population Security Research found that among unmarried women aged 18 to 34 who intended to marry, 70.2% said a man's ability or attitude toward housework and child care was important or should be considered. That was up from 43.6% in 1997. Wow. The same survey summary says that women are increasingly valuing men's housework and child care attitudes when thinking about marriage. That is a very telling change. Yes. It suggests that for many women, a good husband today is not just a provider anymore. He is someone who can actually live as a partner of their lives. Okay? At the same time, I think the image of a good wife is changing too, as I said earlier. In older image, or I would say in older ideas, a good wife was often imaged as a supportive, devoted, and home-centered. Now, that image seems to be expanding. Not changing, expanding. Today, a good wife can also mean someone independent, capable, financially secure, and able to stand on her own. Not because tenderness or kindness no longer matter. They still do. So I said it's expanding. Now, more people seem to see marriage as two people building a life together, not just one person earning money and the other supporting home. And here the survey data is very interesting. Look at this. The same 2021 National Facility Survey found that among unmarried men aged 18 to 34 who intended to marry, 48.2% said a woman's economic strength was important or should be considered when choosing a most preferred life course for a future wife, was now continuing to work while raising children at 39.4%, while the full-time housework course was only 6.8%. Wow, to me, that says something very important. The image of a good wife in Japan is no longer only someone who supports from behind, not behind. More and more, it also includes someone who works, contributes, decides, and builds life as an equal. So, if both sides are changing, what does that mean? What do you think? I think it means that marriage in Japan is slowly moving from roles to partnership. That might mean sharing money, sharing housework, sharing child care, sharing emotional responsibility, and sometimes simply sharing the weight of everyday life. This makes sense because modern life in Japan is not easy to manage through older assumptions alone. Like, as more families live on their own, raising children now takes real teamwork between husband and wife. With prices growing up, many couples also need two incomes. Of course, more women build careers and take active roles in society. It has become important for husbands and wives to support and respect each other more than the past. We need money, we need more power, we need more time, so these days people in Japan are getting more busy and busy. Okay? At the same time, I want to be careful here. This does not mean Japan has fully changed. Traditional expectations is still there. Some people still prefer a more classic division of roles, and income still matters a lot. So I would not say that the old model has disappeared. I would only say that so is no longer the only respected model. And that difference matters because when one model stops being the only acceptable one, we begin to imagine different kinds of marriages. I think this is a very good thing because I believe that the form of marriage is supposed to be decided and created by the people involved. Yeah. Alright, finally, let me share some interesting data from the Japanese marriage agency industry. We call it IBJ. According to the IBJ 2024 marriage report, women who opening their income are about twice as likely to marry agency compared to women who don't. Twice. This data suggests that economically independent women have become increasingly popular, or I would say positive, in recent years. To be honest, I was surprised there is twice differences between opening the incomes, not opening incomes. Alright, so you might see the difference or changes of marriage in Japan a little bit. I got married like 8 years ago. Since then, I feel their image of the couples or ideal couples, a good husband, a good wife, is changing in the short term, right? I feeling that, and I like it. So have you seen any changes about the marriage in your country? Yes, in attitudes towards marriage. How the difference? Also, if you were looking for a life partner, a wife or a husband, what kind of a person would you want? Would you choose? Please let me know your comment in the comment. Alright, today I talked about the changes of marriage in Japan. Did you like it? Alright, I will see you in the next video. Have a good night. おやすみなさい。